Democracy lives in light. The Charlie Kirk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show, to our Real America's Voice family, streaming, podcast, all the things. I'm told that Zelensky is just about to arrive at the White House, so if we could pull up that feed, please do. Again, join members.charliekirk.com to take part in our members AMAs on Fridays. That's members.charliekirk.com. And I just want to tell you guys, we've had a bunch of you join in the aftermath of what happened. It means a lot to us, and your support means a lot to us. It helps keep the lights on quite literally in this season. So thank you so much. And let's get to actually, we got a YRefi. The wonderful, you know the YRefi guys.
They're the best. Their slogan is "Do well by doing good," and they help Americans. They help students. They help Gen Z. Mm-hmm. They're helping people, and when you invest with them, you do well.
And by the way, there is a whole other side of their business. We don't tend to talk about it, but so you can, if you carry debt and you carry a loan. This is what we usually talk about on this show, but you can actually invest with them too. Yeah. And so they have kind of both sides of the business. So if you're watching some other media platforms, you might see them advertise, invest, and they have a really good investment vehicle, which is phenomenal. But if you have private student loan debt, and you mentioned they help Gen Z, but they also help the parents of Gen Z. So if you're like a parent of Gen Z and you want to get your kids, to get you off the loan, they can help you with that and put it all on your kid, especially if it's distressed loan. That's not fair to the parents. Okay, kids, if that's you, by the way, don't do that to your parents. Don't do that to your parents. Get a job, get 2 jobs, get 3 jobs, whatever you have to do. You can't leave your parents on the hook. Anyway, so they're going to help you at YRefi if you have private student loan debt that is labeled distressed or defaulted. This is what they do. They help you with that. Go to YRefi.com, YREFY.com, or call 888-YRefi-34, 888-YRefi-34. We're going to go rapid fire through the next questions. We're not going to shortchange them, never fear, but we're going to go rapid fire. So we're going to welcome back National Radio in about 5 seconds, and we'll be right back when that happens. All right, we've got Nick Arguello.
I think so. Nick, did we say that right?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty close.
Arguello. I could do it.
Yeah.
Arguello. What's your question,
Nick?
Nick?
Shame on George.
Thank you.
Yes.
Shame on him.
Shame.
All right. Y'all got to get Alex Stein on this. You got to get Alex Stein on the Charlie Kirk Show. Anyway, my question to you guys was, it's a simple question, but what do you guys think is the best way to learn? And if it is books, like a lot of people say, what do you think is the best way to help retain that info? Because I cannot retain the info that I'm reading in these books.
Yeah, I actually had a great conversation with Sergio Gore this last week at the White House, and we were talking about Charlie's ability to retain things. And everybody always thought that he had this photographic memory, but he didn't. He didn't have a photographic memory. He would just, his secret weapon is he wrote everything down. He would have these journals with him and he would write it down. He said, when you write it down and then you reread what you wrote down, it helps you retain it in a way that's just crazy. And so I would start by reading a book a month on a topic that you feel inspired by. If it's religion, maybe start with C.S. Lewis or, Not Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, Frank Turek. Or you can go down other random rabbit holes with Viktor Frankl. Man's Search for Meaning was one of Charlie's favorites. Mm-hmm. But Charlie's retention rate for things, his ability to do that came from writing it down. It was a secret weapon.
And Blake has great insight. I wish he was here for this question, but Blake probably darn near has a photographic memory. He has a really good memory. And Blake will actually write in the books that he's reading. So if you don't mind doing that to your book, some people feel very precious with books, but I totally agree. But the other thing I would say, that I almost do book reports, and oftentimes those book reports will come out as tweets, and that helps me retain information. So if I'm really into a news story, for example, and there's all those details about names and what's this and that, I will write it down, and sometimes I'll tweet about it, and that process will it just helps clarify what you're thinking about something, because you have to structure an argument. And when you have to structure an argument based on something you've just read, then it really does help make it sink in. All right, next question, Jessica. Jessica, are you there? Unmute yourself. Jessica.
All right, maybe we read her question.
You broke the streak. Jessica.
Yeah, come on. Well,
you can read the question.
We're going through the emails right now. We have someone said it's my birthday today. Louis Brayland. Happy birthday, Louis Brayland.
Wait, hold on.
Wait,
hold on.
I'm here.
No, we're moving on.
We just said
Alright.
Jessica's here. See, that's why
Yes,
Mikey was
sorry.
smart to buy some time. Jessica, what's your question?
My question is, Charlie Kirk did such a brilliant job with our young men. So how do we reach out to our young women? It's the difference. You know what I mean? The young women really need to be reached out to.
Yeah, I totally agree. So the question is, how do we get them? How do we get young women?
Yeah, how do we
I
get
will say, so let me tell you a couple things. One of the things I'm going to say is probably controversial, like if I said it in front of a bunch of libs, but we were noticing in the polling, this is before what happened to Charlie, that with our youngest women that are of voting age, so 18 to 21, Yale Youth Survey poll did this poll on 18 to 21-year-old women, and we saw for the first time an R+4 with young women. Now, that was pre-Iran, some of the stuff with Israel, some of the stuff with Epstein. It's possible that's slid back the other direction, because those things were very unpopular with young people. And that was something Charlie and I would talk a lot about. Danny, I'm sure you were talking about it a lot with him too. And so it's possible that slipped back, but it was the first time I've ever seen an R plus anything with young women. The young men, I think, were like R+19. So we were already seeing the youngest women, and then Gen Alpha behind Gen Z are more conservative still. So there's good things coming. So keep the faith on that. There was an NBC article that came out, and it was asking the question, can Erica Kirk be to women what Charlie Kirk was to young men? And I think the answer is, in my opinion, and Mike, I'd love your perspective on this, if you listen to her speeches, they were, especially, I think back to the memorial speech, where she spoke directly to husbands and wives and young women, and she said to young women, you are not your husband's rival. You're not going to be, your virtue is a strength. Yeah. And so I do think she is calling out I guess you would say, the idols of our age, because young women think they have to be promiscuous. They have to flaunt their physical bodies all over the place where their hemline meets their neckline. And it's, that I think is out of fashion more and more with young people. And 30 seconds of what
So Charlie had this ability to reach young men and give them direction, but young women are the ones that are further to the left than young men, just in the data that we see. And that's because they're the ones that pay attention to what the professor says in class, where the young men maybe are on Snapchat or social media. But we'll continue this. I think we have to welcome back radio. Is that right?
No, we're going to take a commercial break real quick. We'll be right back.
Not bad.